Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's the Arkatech Beats Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beats. I am Jugrnaut,
I am Mike Trauma D.
and today we are going to be talking about the importance of choosing the right entertainment attorney and or manager. We've been having a lot of questions about this. People have been asking about, hey, how do I need an attorney? What's the best attorney to get? Or when do I need an attorney? How do I choose one? Where do I find one? We're gonna
Yeah,
get into
and
we're gonna get into all of that because
yep,
it's this is a critical part of your situation. If you don't have the right attorney or manager on your team, you basically going to be setting yourself up for failure. So we definitely want to go into this. We want people to take notes. If it's your first time here, make sure you're clicking
yep,
that subscribe button. Make sure that you're clicking the notification bells. Leave a comment, share it with a friend. Right. So let's get into this.
yeah.
First order of business. Let's tell the folks what you're going to need your attorney for, why you're going to need it, and then we'll go into the points of how to choose one. And then when you do have one, there are still some things you still got to look out for.
Well, you know what's funny? Um, a lot of people are conducting business and signing agreements without an attorney. They're getting contracts, they're getting their beats placed, and they're just signing any document that comes across the table. And that's a very dangerous game. Um, the reason why you need an attorney is they're supposed to look after your well being. They're supposed to make sure that you're signing what's going to be best for you, what's your interests. Um, so you want to make sure that you choose the right attorney. They'll be able to explain what's going on in the contract, um, and they're the people that you ask questions to. You know, you get a piece of paper. You don't know what this means, and a lot of times contracts are written in what's called legal jargon, so that you can't even really understand what's going on. For all you know, you're signing off your beat, you're signing off your music, you're signing a your life away, you're signing album deals, you're signing a whole bunch of things away. You're publishing, signing off your rights, and you don't even know it. So, bottom line, you want to make sure you're getting a good attorney that's going to make sure that what you're aware of what you're signing, and to also help you negotiate what you want, and that's very important.
And when we say that, it has to be negotiating what you want. Your your lawyer is basically interpreting everything for you and is putting the things that you want in the language that needs to be put into the contract. And I think that's where people may say, "Hey, I could just rely. I got a good lawyer. I got a good lawyer." Listen, your lawyer is only going to basically translate what you want in your business into a contract form.
Right,
Period. A lawyer cannot help you if you are bad at business.
right,
I want to put that out there from the beginning. If you don't understand how to conduct the business, the lawyer cannot always save you. So I think this is where you see people get into a lot of bad deals. Well, I had a lawyer. I had a lawyer. No, your lawyer is to interpret the language that's in the contract, and you're supposed to now take what's in the contract and then make the best deal based off of what the situation is in that contract, and then have your lawyer draft that up into a binding agreement. If you don't understand the music business, or if you don't understand that you're supposed to get X amount of points, the lawyer may tell you that you need to put this or this. He may tell you that you're entitled to this, but that doesn't always happen. That's the reality of the situation. It doesn't always happen that way. And then we have to also look at this situation from a different standpoint. Like, where's the money coming from to pay the lawyer? If you don't have a lawyer on retainer for yourself, like say you haven't paid the attorney yourself, and the attorney is waiting for that deal to close to get paid, who does the attorney really work for?
right, right. You're right about that. So it could be very tricky situation. And the attorney wants to get paid. So it's very important that you choose an attorney and have a good relationship with that attorney. Um, you want to go through, maybe what he's done. want to know who some of his clients are, so you could get an idea where you're placed, when it comes to getting work done, to make sure as far as he's not working with other artists that are conflicting with you, or working with other companies that's conflicting with your situation. Um, and at the same time, if he has a heavy workload, he may not give you the attention you need when it comes time to do, your deal or negotiate for you. At the end of the day, you got to think about all these people that are in position. At the end of the day, they're just working people and they want to go home at the end of the day. So you have to say, listen, um, you got to do your due diligence pretty much. You got to make sure that the person that you choose, they're going to listen to what you're saying, and they're going to be able to provide you the information you need in order to make a good decision, make a good deal.
I want us to break it down real granular now, right? If we're talking about an attorney and said, okay, Jug, Mike, I want to get an attorney. What's the first thing that I need to look for? Or the first thing that I need to make sure that it's in place before I get an attorney? And um I would say the first thing probably would be the cost. Right. Can you afford, you know, this particular attorney? They vary in terms of price. Some people charge per the hour, some people charge per the deal.
Hmm.
Right. The question is, which one makes more sense for you? It just kind of depends. We like to kind of move toward the hourly situation because at least that puts a cap on certain things.
Right,
If you're going to for the deal situation, that that basically turns the attorney into your partner.
right, and it makes them want to, in some instances, want to rush the deal closing.
Yeah.
You know, that attorney may be closing on a house. That attorney may have some things that he's trying to do, and he knows that if he close on this deal, he's going to get a certain percentage. So it's going to be in his own interest to hurry up and close that deal, however he can, very quickly. So that may or may not be the best situation for you.
And no knock on the attorneys. Like we're just giving you our experience in dealing with the situation, and we want artists, producers, musicians, and stuff to really be clear. Like this is a you're really on an island by yourself. If you really want to be 100% honest with the situation, and you have to be aware of what's going on from that situation. So the first thing we would say, we said it's going to be cost. That's typically going to be the situation. Are we dealing with an hourly attorney? Are we dealing with an attorney by the deal? That depends on what you can afford. So that's the first thing. The
Hmm.
second thing, you want to make sure that this attorney is somewhat connected. And when we say somewhat connected, meaning attorneys typically have relationships throughout the industry.
Right,
If the relationships are not there for certain attorneys, or if attorneys are not respected, your deals don't get closed fast.
right.
Your deals take forever because they don't get back to them. There's no
Hmm.
relationship. And then the negotiation sometimes can be a little bit more hard nosed if you have an attorney that's outside of the network or outside of the loop, or if you have an attorney that's never dealt with these set of attorneys before. So they don't know their style, they don't know how to
Right.
communicate, don't know how to get caught up with them. So what we've learned over around 20 years in this situation is that the attorneys that are connected, you take that as you will,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
attorneys that are connected in the network by however they're connected, typically those deals go through smoother, right? Because
Right.
they all have relationships, and then they're able to kind of, you
It's
know,
kind it's kind of refreshing when you get a new deal situation, and your attorney's like, oh yeah, I know so and so.
right,
Yeah, we could make this happen.
right,
It's very soothing when they know people at the table and have prior relationships. And sometimes that could be that could be bad too. Let's not, if a prior deal didn't go well, um and then you're faced with you get the opportunity for a new deal, and you got to go through the same people. Your attorney may be like, I've dealt with that guy before, and then he may, he this and
right.
this, and it's kind of unfair to you, because you know maybe that person's not going to deal with you that way because you're a whole different situation. So the attorney would have to be an attorney that can put away past bad experiences, and be able to start with you fresh on a new experience. And that's something that you would have to kind of just keep your eye on. Um, when you finally do choose an attorney, you don't have to stick to that attorney if things start to, you start noticing things. Feel free to, like, let me move around. Let me see this someone else. It took us a while for us to even get to an attorney that we decided to use. We jumped from one and didn't like the way certain things were going, jumped to another. We tested a few out before we finally settled. So it may take some time.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was rough. It was rough finding an attorney in the beginning. And how did we come across that attorney? It was really a referral, right? There wasn't a quote unquote database or anything like that that we could really get into. A lot of attorneys work off of referrals. That's
Hmm.
probably the best thing, is to have a referral to an attorney. We refer our attorney to a gang of people a lot of times. It works off referrals. To me, that's the best way to know. Um, the best way to get a good attorney is basically ask some questions, ask some folks who've had some deals in the past, and
Yeah.
get a referral. Um,
Go online and,
yeah,
and, and do some Google searches. There's a ton of attorneys, the websites, you check them out. Um, and you make a list for yourself.
and you definitely want to check their resume. You want to see
Hmm.
who their past clients are, who their current clients are.
Right.
That plays a big part of it. Are the clients all really old clients, or the clients really like kind of current? It just kind of gives you an idea of who your attorney is connected with. Because remember, what happens is that a connected attorney can always beget more work for you as a producer or a songwriter, so forth and so on. Like in our case, we had our attorney was the same as uh, Gillian Wallow and those guys for a little while.
Hmm.
It was the same as P&B Rock and these people, and anytime something significant happened, or he got somebody that needed to connect with us, he would put us together, right? Or he
Right.
would try to put it together. So
Right.
it's a situation where when you're looking at when you have an attorney, again, like I said before, you kind of want to look for them having a good network, not just with other attorneys, but also with other artists, executives. These things can help to get you the deals, the publishing deals and the production deals and the stuff like that. That if you're doing the work on the side and then you start to elevate in terms of your notoriety, your attorney can just start can make calls for you really quick and can shop things around and make things move a lot faster if you have a good attorney in that fashion.
But let me add though, because I do have to say this though. When you look at their resume, it has to be real credits. And what I mean by that is, there are a lot of attorneys that may have did a one-off deal or one-off situation, read over a contract, and that's it. And that person is no longer their client. They just did a one thing, and they'll add them as a on their list as people they worked with. So you have a whole long list, and you look at it and say, "Wow, this guy worked with a lot of people," but it doesn't mean those were consistent relationships. So when you see those attorneys, question them, talk to them, find out that their relationships with all of these clients, were those things consistent? Was it one off? Do they still have relationships? You know, how would it be to utilize those relationships? And because your attorney is going to also be an extension of your network, so you want to make sure that who you're connecting with is going to amplify, what you have. It's like what you have and what the attorney has. Y'all put it together, and be able to make some things happen. But you just have to just be mindful of the kind of attorney. There are attorneys that are not the kind of attorneys that are get up and go attorneys. There are attorneys who kind of just sit around and wait for something to come across the table, similar to some managers. We'll get to that.
Oh man, this is really a loaded topic because the general connotation is that the attorney will save you from everything, and that is just not really honest. And really, if we're talking about the music industry as a whole, it's really not honest. And that's something that I'm glad that you put that point out there when you say, "Hey, that resume." needs to be questioned to make sure that it, like you said, that it's really true clients and not just really hyperbole, like they're just saying, like, I work with this person here and I work with this, I did this little deal review, I did this, and this person was never really a client,
Right.
right? I think these are good distinctions to figure out. At the end of the day, when you're also looking at those type of distinctions to figure out if they're working with these people long term and so forth and so on, then that'll kind of give you an idea of the type of character you're dealing with, right? And I think that's also a big situation, is that there are some people that are in this business that are really just out for the money, and they're not,
Right.
that they don't really care about people. We understand that as business, but behind every business deal, there's a person that needs to get paid, and there's a family that got to get fed. So you have to really start making sure that you're dealing with attorneys that are just not out here, just really sharks in the water,
Yeah.
just trying to take everything.
And have a bad reputation.
Yeah, you're trying to make sure that you're dealing with someone who has your best interest and who can deal with you as a person and not really just as a dollar sign. And I think that's the hard determination to make. You,
Because you
you
could
know,
lose deals based off that.
oh, absolutely.
You could lose opportunities just based on that. Oh, that's who you have representing you. I don't want to work with them. Simple as that.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens, and it happens an awful lot when you think about it in certain contexts. That the attorney could also, like you say, can help you get more deals. Attorney could
Yeah.
be an ass, and nobody, he don't return anybody phone calls. Like we've had situations where attorney will not return your phone call. Like, do you know? Would you imagine how many deals that don't get done based off of the fact that that attorney is slow to get back to you, won't get back to you? It's one of those type of things. So you don't want to be represented by that attorney who doesn't respond, and or takes too long to respond, and then the opportunity that you did have is gone.
Right. Producers, artists, make sure you have a lawyer. Make sure you have an attorney there. Um, Talk to one, find out how much it's going to cost, try and work out an arrangement somehow. Have a phone number, because when you get this opportunity, you want to make sure that you have somebody that can look it over. You know, there are a lot of producers right now. Maybe, they're shopping Beats, and they're thinking, oh, why do I need a lawyer now? I haven't sold anything. Well, just make sure that you have an idea of when, that time comes, who you can go to do your research now, start talking now. Find out, which attorneys are available at your budget.
Right.
And once you have that, at least when when things start rolling, you know who to call. If you sell a beat online, or you sell a beat to an independent artist, you know paperwork should be done to protect your interests. Ain't nothing worse than you sell a record to an independent artist, and that independent artist becomes a major artist, and that record that you sold becomes a hit, and because you either signed a bad agreement or didn't sign, you know you find yourself in a jam, losing out on opportunities, losing out on income. I mean, all because you didn't take the necessary steps in the beginning, just to make a phone call to a few attorneys to see, okay, can someone look this over for a decent amount? You gotta protect yourself. You
At
got to
all t-
protect yourself.
at all times, you have to protect yourself. I think the main problem is, though, Mike, is that, especially in the producer side, is that the the prices that these guys are selling tracks for won't cover the cost of an attorney.
Yep.
And that's a red flag, right? That's a red flag, that if you're trying to do business and you're selling your music and it can't cover the cost of an attorney to protect yourself, that's a problem. Um, I really think that artists, producers really need to start to make sure that, if at the very least, the price of your music should cover the cost of getting your contract done.
Right.
If it's not doing that, at the very least, you're putting yourself at a severe, severe, severe disadvantage.
It really comes down to, if you're serious about being in this music business, you have to budget yourself accordingly. You need to take your income or whatever, however you're getting paid, and take a percentage to attorney fund. you
Yeah.
know, and have that on the side. Like it needs to be, you need to have that in place, and you need to have a habit of doing that, because when the ball gets rolling and you're scrambling, looking around and trying to find an attorney, and you can't find one, or you just make some crazy decision, or you just go and sign off an agreement, it's gonna hurt you in the long run.
Right.
Like imagine having a hit and you signed off all your rights and you didn't know. That's on you.
That's right.
And it happens. It happens. Rights get taken away. You lose out on your publishing. You signed it off. You signed the beat away. You become a work for hire. It happens all the time. And it's sad. Like, and if you'd have taken that moment to say, you know what, I ain't got it right now, but you know what, let me at least start Google searching to see who are some of the attorneys that I can at least call. Make a list, call them, see what the rates are, write it down,
Write it down.
call each of them, do your due diligence, and say, okay, this guy seems good, he got a decent client, he got a decent roster, um, and call them, call each of them, and find out, okay, what kind of budget can you work out? Can I pay you monthly? Can I pay you this way so I can have you on retainer or something? Like, you got to start reaching out and asking the questions, and that's a problem that we have in this community. Like so many people are not asking questions; they're just assuming. You're assuming, and you're making statements based off of assumptions. Ask the questions. There's nothing wrong with getting on the horn and getting on the horn and calling up people. You're calling this office, calling this law firm. Hey, can I speak to so and so? I'm interested in becoming a client. What does it take? How much is his hourly rate? Um, Thank you very much. Get the information down, write it down, and keep a little Rolodex. And then when the opportunity presents itself for a
Ready to,
deal,
you
someone wants to
you
buy,
you ready
you're
to
not
go.
you you're not scrambling. You're not running around. You're not. Oh my God, let me just go and sign anything. Now you got something. Now you got a couple of phone numbers, or now you got someone that you've been in contact with because you took the due diligence from the jump. Now, hey, this is so and so. Uh, I received a contract from so and so. Can we have a conversation based on this? And you take it from there. And I think a lot of times we don't do a lot of preparation, and we find ourselves in a jam, crying and complaining about the label, crying and complaining about other artists, other producers that
Yeah.
we've been taken advantage of, and you cannot leave your business up to them.
Say it again. You can't leave your business up to anybody.
You cannot leave your business up to the manager. You can't leave your business up to the lawyer. You definitely cannot leave your business up to the record label. You can't. The days of I just want to be an artist. It doesn't work. I'm sorry.
Them days are over, and you're gonna find yourself really destitute, broke, and really like having nothing. Like that's why this thing is designed. This thing is designed to take everything from you.
You have to make sure that you have some understanding of each areas of the business that you're in, because it's your business. It's not their business, it's your business. If you got a lawyer, if you got a manager, if you got an accountant, if you got any of these things, you have to make sure that you show up and you know what's going on. And if you don't, you need to ask questions,
Yes, that's right.
and ask questions until you understand what's going on. Too many artists are getting robbed blindly. You know, accountants cleaning out their bank accounts
It's really it's not even happening blind. It's happening right in front of their face. Like it's not even like a situation where it's like
because you're not checking, you're
they
not
don't
looking,
they're not
you're
looking.
not asking questions. You're not you just, oh, it's his job. I'm just gonna let him handle that.
Okay, some days
That's a
those
very it's a
that's
very dangerous game.
dangerous situation. Some artists have gone to prison behind that type of situation for like tax evasion and stuff like that.
Because
For,
and because the accountant did this or did that, And it's not the accountant that's gonna take the fall. It's you
It's
as
gonna be you.
the
It's gonna be
artist,
you
or
as the
you as the
artist.
producer.
Yeah.
You know, because you at the end of the day, you signed the paper. You know, you said this was okay. You agreed to this. So if anything, make sure that you have a good representative, and always ask questions, find out what's going on, um, and just never leave it just up to the representative. Managers, um, you know, that's somewhat another. I wouldn't say another topic, but I'll say managers. You have to be careful of who you choose as your manager, and remember, your manager works for you.
Let's before we jump into your managers, because the managers do work for you. The attorneys, they work for you.
Yeah,
And you have to understand this. And I say this to everyone that's not pay attention. Like, I need you guys to really pay attention to this. The same books on the music business that they read, you can read,
yeah,
right? That there is no excuse for you not knowing the music business. You need to understand the music business. We're not saying that you need to understand how to draft contracts, because that's what the lawyer's job is to do, is to draft the contract into a legal form. But you need to understand the music business. You need
right.
to understand how you're supposed to get paid. You're supposed to understand what you're supposed to get paid. You're supposed to have that understanding. If you don't understand those things, then you're going to put yourself at a severe, severe, severe disadvantage. Because if your attorney misses it, you misses it. You miss it.
But worst case, the worst thing is, if you don't know it, how are you going to be able to tell the attorney exactly what you want?
Exactly.
Because remember, the attorney works for you. So you have to tell the attorney, okay, I want this. I want to make sure that I have 50% of the master or 100% of the master. I
Right.
want to make sure that I get 4 points or 5 points. I want to make sure that I get all my credits. It has to read like this. I want to make sure that it's for a term of this. You have to put all of those things in. And any creative thing you think about, groundbreaking things that are maybe not standard, that you say, you know what, times have changed. I want to implement this into my contract now as well. And the attorney will look it over and be like, okay, we'll add that, we add this. This is where that goes. We'll put this in. They may have give you pushback on certain things, like, oh, that's not really. That's what I want. That's what
That's
I
what I
want.
want. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to push some certain terms. You may have to push them. This is what I want. Sometimes the attorneys will tell you, well, this is standard. I don't want standard. This is what I feel I deserve. So let's go with that. If Negotiate that at the best that you can, and then let's see what they come back with.
There you go. Like,
We're not gonna not try. We're going to do this, and you have to tell that to this attorney. You got to actually speak to them in that manner. You got to tell them, this is what I want. I want you to negotiate that. Go. I pay you.
yeah, and that's real, man. Like,
And that's not trying to be disrespectful, but I think what happens is sometimes the attorney tells the client, and the client think that's it. That there's no
because
there's no.
because we're conditioned to say, okay, this is the professional. Like, we're conditioned to say, this is the professional, this is legal advice, right?
Mhm.
But you have to know your business, right? You have to know your business, because there have been instances where we were in a position for a driver's seat in the position, and we were supposed to take a certain action, and we were advised not to take a certain action in certain cases, right? And with an attorney in the past, and that person was wrong,
Right,
flat out.
right,
That
right.
that attorney, that attorney was wrong. That wasn't the right business move. Period. Like, what I'm saying, and that happens. Like, this happens a lot in this situation. So, like you said, they work for you. You have to make sure that you're articulating what you want in your deal. Sometimes it may not be conventional. We when we were asking for featured artist credits as producers, that wasn't regular. It wasn't. There's like, producers don't ask for that. We don't care what other producers ask for. That's what we want, right? Well, we said we want percentage of the masters. It was like, what? Producers don't do that. That's not what they want. That's what we want, because it's different now. It's not what it used to be. And you as an artist or a producer, you have to make sure that you're relaying the deal points that you want for your deal. It may not be conventional. It doesn't have to be. You have to make the deal that best suits you. So to your point, we have to make sure that we're telling the attorneys what we want them to do. And also too, we have to make sure that when we're working with the attorneys, we have to make sure that they're not ruining the relationships, right? Sometimes you can have some people that are a little overzealous and then go a little bit further than they need to go, or basically what they can tell you is that, hey, you're entitled to ABCD dollars, right? I understand that I'm entitled to ABC dollars, but I'm doing this deal as a favor, right? For someone that I have a relationship with. So I
Right.
need you to complete that deal based off of the relationship that I have and not based off of what you know that I should be getting, right? Because sometimes
Right.
you can get caught in that situation that, hey, you're supposed to be getting this amount of money. And
Yeah.
why are you taking this? And you shouldn't take this and you shouldn't take that. And it's like, that's not what it's about. It's about me making sure that I can maintain this relationship with this
Right.
particular client or this particular artist because I know that it's going to be fruitful more down the line.
Right. Every deal does not have to be the same.
Right.
And it should, and technically it really shouldn't be. And talking on that situation, there are situations where we say, hey, we'll talk to the attorney and say, hey, we need this to go a certain way, because we have some prior things going on that's beneficial to us. So kind of just, calm it down a bit,
Yeah. And and,
and
and, and that
you
happens.
have to have those conversations with your attorney, and that's okay. You should be able to, and you're supposed to be the driver of your business, and when you want your attorney to, you know, go off, fine. But there's times you got to be like, whoa, not on this client. Don't go to that hard. We don't need it that bad. We have other things going on with this person that is actually better than this.
Right.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on is, there are times when there's another deal going on for another client, and then your deal comes up also, and they try to use either your deal as leverage for the other deal, or the other deal as leverage for your deal, so you have to be very mindful of what's going on when you speak with your
We
attorney,
need to
because
we need to explain that to the people because
all right,
people may not understand. Like we said, what do you mean to have another client? What does another client have to do with my deal? It has a lot to do with your deal.
it has a lot to do with your deal,
So
because
let's talk about that.
a lot of times there are favors done on your behalf for another client. You know, if this attorney is working with an attorney at a record label, you know, and he has a deal going on with another group, and here you come with you got a deal, and you feeling excited, I'm about to get this, and you feeling good, you know what you're gonna get, you know what you're supposed to get, you know what you want to negotiate. Your attorney may say, you know what, I'm going to use this other deal to get this situation, and as a favor, you're not going to get that much of the deal. You know, I'm going to give them what they want for this, but when it comes to you, uh, you know, I'm not going to go super hard. You know, because they may have two acts that they have that they're negotiating for. So they may be like, all right, I'll give you this if it, I won't I won't fight for this if you give me this, pretty much. So you're used as part of
It's like a
a
barter system, man. Like
now
it's
your
like
whole deal is a negotiation for another deal.
yeah, because they went hard for this one. It's like basically, hey, you let me go, you let me live on deal A on deal B. Now you have to give it back to me,
Right,
right? And
right.
then on deal C, okay, we're gonna give it back to you again. So it's like
Yeah.
they're playing negotiation ping pong with you,
Like I let the deal in deal A get the masters as a favor. I'm not letting deal B get masters.
right? Because we already gave you that for the
We
other
gave
deal.
you. We looked out for you then. So we're not doing that with this just because.
Oh shit, man.
It happens.
And it does. Like this is real.
I'm gonna slightly touch on something. Be careful of the relationship the attorney has with record label attorneys and others.
We gotta go with it. We gotta
I
tell them.
I
We gotta
got
tell them.
if they have a relationship with them, there's a possibility that they can be undermining your deal.
It's not a
Right on,
possibility. That happens.
um, there are lawyer, just like in just like every genre, every industry, there's groups of people. No
And
matter what,
networks.
there's always a network. So you have to be careful that whether it's even sororities or all of those things. Um, if your attorney is in a group or belongs to a group that the record label attorneys are part of, you know, that deal may not necessarily work out in your best interest. And I know you're like, well, I pay them. How come? It's a little bit beyond that. I just so and it's and Jeff, there's only so much I could say when it comes to that.
It's like you're paying them, but you're not paying them. I don't think people realize that because remember, your deal is paying them. Your deal is going to pay them. So say you have a deal that's on the table. If it's a producer deal and you're negotiating it, say you got a production deal coming from a label, and the production deal is worth $250,000, just for the sake of illustration, and the attorney's going to get maybe 5% of that, right, or 10% of that, whatever that looks
Mhm.
like. You're not paying that attorney. It's coming from the record label, right? The record so it works for you, but it doesn't really work for you. It works in the best interest of the deal, right? So this is the thing that I think people have to really kind of understand. Like this is just the way that this game is played, right? And this is why you see a lot of people having a lot of uproars right now, going crazy, talking
Yeah,
about how this is not fair and this is not fair and this is not fair. Is because when you really open up the veil and you look at it, you're like, wait a minute, this really seems kind of orchestrated. Like, how could you have been in a position of leverage if you didn't have the 25,000 to give the attorney in the first place? If I was able
right,
to take the 25,000 and put it in his retainer, he doesn't work for them anymore. He works for me. It's my money now. It's different when it's different when he's going to get a portion of the deal. When it's a portion of the deal, it's like he's working for the people. He's really working for them inadvertently.
right. He's calling the record label. How can we get this done?
Right. And he may capitulate to things that he typically wouldn't do. Right. It may be a situation where they'll get into these deals and they'll get into these negotiations, and you're like, damn, why did they relent so easy?
Yeah.
This is why.
Or there may be agreements uh, between lawyer to lawyer, and I know that happens actually in the court system,
Yes. Yeah.
with criminal cases and stuff like that. So it's not far fetched that it happens in entertainment, where you have two attorneys and they'll have somewhat of a silent agreement amongst themselves of how they're going to play this and how these things are going to go. So you got to know your business. You got to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
And
Can't
you got
take
to
your
be
eyes off. Can't take your eyes off it at all. Like I think that's the if anything people take from this episode today, and this episode to me it's very charged. If you take anything from it, that you have to be in front of your business, like you said, you have to drive this car. Is your vehicle. It's your business vehicle. If you're not driving it, then somebody else is driving it, and they may crash you. Who knows? So at the end of the day, you have to be the person that's in charge of the situation and making sure that it's going to your benefit. So now let's pivot,
yeah,
right? We talked about the attorneys. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Hey, we love our attorney. Let me just let you know that. But there's still things that you have to make sure that you're being cognizant of. Let's flip. Let's turn now to the managers.
mm,
The managers now. This is also an extension of you. Managers also work for you, right? And you should never be in a situation where You don't know the business that the manager is conducting. Like, you should never, never, never be in that situation. There should be a levels of transparency that you need to understand. But let's talk about really quickly what people should be looking for in a manager, what they should not be looking for in a manager, and what are some of the red flags for having a manager. If you have one and it's going awry, these are the red flags that you need to jump when you need to jump ship.
Well, I think the number one thing is the manager needs to be well versed in in the music business. They gotta know what's going on. It can't just be my homeboy managing. Like, you want to make sure that your manager knows the business. He knows what everything means, so that when you approach him and you tell him, okay, this is what I want, he knows exactly what to do and how to get it done. You want to make sure that he has some sort of network, or if he doesn't have a network as of yet, maybe this is a new management, that he's the type of person that's a get up and get out, wants to walk, run around. He wants to meet and greet. He's not scared to network. He's not scared to shake hands. He's out there, moving around and doing what needs to be done. You want him to be well organized. You want him to be organized, so that when it's time to show up to events, to show up to functions, to show up anywhere, that he's on top of that. Um, I mean, man, picking a manager is not easy, man. That's why so many artists like go through managers so quickly.
Picking a
You know,
manager is like picking a spouse, man.
the manager has to like mesh very well with you, with your personality and who you are, and vice versa. Your manager needs to be transparent, which is very important. And what I mean by transparent is that he needs to be able to tell you what's going on, and vice versa. He needs to say, okay, I'm meeting with this person today. Um, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about. Um, what would you like me to speak on? What would you like me to question? He needs to also take your input and be fighting for you and what you want, because he works for you. And then come back to the table and tell you all of these things, and tell it to you properly, and get your opinion, uh, and sit down, and so you can make the decision together. Managers should not always be making decisions by themselves without your consent. They should always run it by you first, and you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, unless you have an agreement with them that says, listen, anytime this is in play, we don't do this. Or anytime that is in play, we sit down and come to the table.
Yeah.
Have some sort of arrangement earlier, so that your manager can kind of move freely, so that when those things happen, he knows how to operate.
I think
Make
that's
sure,
important. I think that's an important deal point right there. To
mhm,
just, like you said, set the parameters of when it's an automatic yes and an automatic we need to talk about it.
right,
Right? Like because that can kill time, right? Because we're like, if there's a decision that needs to be made, the artist needs to basically have made that parameter saying, hey, if this is what's happening in this area, you have free reign. I trust your decision. I trust you on this one.
right,
And when it comes to things that have maybe a little bit more intricacy, let us sit down. Let's talk about it before you pull the trigger. And that needs to be, like you said, really delineated early.
right. And I think there needs to be, uh, check-ins all the time, so you guys are just on the same page, man. There's nothing worse than managers making decisions and the artist has no idea what's going on. And sometimes the management could be making decisions that are not necessarily in the best interest, or maybe thought it was in the best interest, but it actually isn't. Maybe looking at it from a side eye, or a perspective that's not real. You know, Sometimes managers get this protective thing about their artists, to the point where they're overprotective, to the point where they lose deals, they lose opportunities. Um, there are times you got to take chances and take risks, but you got to take them calculated. And a lot of times there are moments when a manager will not make the right decision. You know, they may not communicate properly. They may, you know, not speak with the proper people in the proper way, and lose out on deals and opportunities. and the artist will have not a clue. The artist will thinking everything is good, everything is straight, everything is this and that, and have no idea that they just lost a deal or lost an opportunity. So choosing a manager is very crucial. You also want to make sure, just like an attorney, what's their client list? You know, are they going to be representing other artists that's going to conflict with you and your time? Um, is the other artist, the genre similar to yours? Is that going to be beneficial or is that going to hurt you when it comes times to getting an opportunity? Is the other client going to get it and you're not going to get a fair shake? Um, so there's a lot to go through when it comes to being for management and choosing the proper management. Um, I think another thing that I've been seeing a lot is managements that don't do anything.
Listen, that's like 90% of it.
What they'll do is they'll sign you up and just you and then take whatever credits you have to kind of highlight their management when they're not responsible for any of the prior work that that you got before them. So what happens is clients will come in and see the manager's page. Oh, you got so and so, you got so and so, and they did this, they did that. That manager's be good because he's representing that person. But you may not know the backstory. You may not know what's really behind the scenes. Maybe that manager is not that good. A lot of times managers sit around and wait for an opportunity to come across their table. You know, um, so like I said from before, you want a manager that's out there doing it, going out, getting it, shaking hands, networking, looking for opportunities, creating opportunities, um, you know, always about meeting new people and trying to push your brand to the next level. Also, a good manager is also that one that will try to teach you as much as they know, will try to incorporate you in some of the decision making and open you up to uh, new people that could help further your career.
And some managers ain't doing that. Some managers want to be in total control or want to keep the artist in the dark.
Yeah,
And I'm not really with that. I'm not with them not really trying to educate the artist and not letting the artist know what's going on and not letting the artist grow, not letting the artist evolve. Because I think a lot of them are afraid that the artist will outgrow them and that they want to make sure that they're maintaining some sort of value to the artist. So it kind of they want to create this dynamic where they know everything and the artist doesn't know anything. And I don't know if that's a fair dynamic. I think as a team, you have to share information.
right,
There's no way for you to have a team that doesn't share information and doesn't grow. If you're not doing that, then you're putting your teammates or you're putting your artist at a severe disadvantage. Your artist needs to know what's going on. Your artist needs to know how to grow into the music business because this is a situation where things are changing so fast, and because the artist isn't growing, the artist is unable to pivot when times change. The artist is unable to capitalize on new technology or new anything because they're not growing. They're still
right,
stuck. They're still stuck doing what they were doing 5, 6 years ago, and this things is moving at a rapid pace. So if you're stuck in a situation where you're not willing to grow, you're not willing to evolve as an artist, and the manager is not helping you to do that, then that's really a disservice.
right. I mean, the manager has to be open minded and be willing to grow, willing to try new things. Um, you know, there's too many times, like you said, like there's a manager that's kind of like stuck in their ways, but and it's funny because maybe the artist is like, yo, I would have did that, I would have tried that,
Right.
and the opportunity wasn't presented, or maybe the opportunity was presented and they missed out on it, you know. So the manager always, got to be open minded, willing to try different things, trying new things, because technology, this business, like you said, is changed. It changes rapidly. It changes very quickly, and you got to be able to adapt to the change. And sometimes that means doing things differently. You're not always going to be doing things the same way. So a manager sees this, and the manager knows how to pivot appropriately.
It's real because and there's another thing that we went through. and the managers were just slow, right? Like
Mhm.
really, really, really slow. And the opportunity that was on the table, because the management was so slow, the opportunity dried up,
Right.
right? Or sometimes you have a situation where your management team might overcomplicate a simplistic situation,
Right.
right? Sometimes there's situations that are really simplistic and it's overcomplicated. And then the artist doesn't get the benefit of it because
Right.
we're in a situation where we're saying, hey, we're trying to make sure we're handling the business right, but business has to move quickly. If business is not moving quickly, then in this business you're dead in the water. Like these are the days are over of taking months and months and months and months to do something. Like that's not how it's played now. Like
Right.
content is being created daily, content is coming out on the fly, it's coming out quickly. You have to be
Yeah.
able to match that speed and that energy. And I'm seeing a lot of managers who are just not adept at that. They're too busy, caught up in the ways that things used to be, and not looking at how things currently are.
Yeah. And people in positions change very quickly. So and deals come and go very quickly as well. And sometimes you have a certain time, a certain window to make things happen. Sometimes there's opportunities that's placed for a certain period of time, and you got to hit it while the iron is hot. And sometimes wrapped up in certain uh, um, back and forth, or just like you said, slow on the draw. There's opportunities that just come and go, and it's a shame because the artist may never know what
The artist may never
opportunities,
know what opportunities
you
came
know
away.
and for the most part, a lot of them, they don't know. They don't know what they missed out. They don't know what was behind the other door. And it's sad because there's so much talented people out there that won't get the shot or lost the shot, because of bad representation, whether it's management or attorney. So
The other thing too, Mike, and just before we jump out of here, the
mm,
artists, you don't have the luxury of time. Especially if you're a young artist coming in and your youth is part of what you're selling, you don't have the luxury of time. Like you have to get in here and you have to milk everything that you can do, to capitalize off your youth or to capitalize off that window. And you have to make sure that your management team is is going to be able to move at the pace that it needs to move to make sure that your career can maximize any opportunities that's in front of it. The other situation when we're talking about the managers too is, artists, be clear. If you don't have anything going on, it's going to be hard for you to get a manager.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't think that we talked about that early. But if you don't have something going on, or if you don't have huge potential, or if you're not already earning dollars and cents, it's going to be hard to get a manager, right? Because the things that managers have to do, in some cases, are it's a job. It's a thankless job.
yeah. And I don't think like good managers get enough credit.
Yeah, it's a thankless job. It's like being a caretaker,
Right,
for an adult. And when we're talking about a caretaker, people might just look at it and say, "Oh, he's just managing my music career." No, he's managing your life. Because as the artist, it's like if you're not optimal, if you don't have the right living situation, if you don't have the right if you're not eating right, if you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like there are so many things that could impact your artistry. And the manager has to police all of that.
right.
Has to police your circle, police the people that you're around, has to police your security, has to police it all. So
Yeah.
it's not a glamorous job.
A lot of times the manager has to sacrifice their own time, their own luxuries, their own time with their families. They sacrificing their whole lifestyle to make sure that you as an artist, get where you need to go. And yeah, it's a thankless job. So I definitely understand when certain managers kind of want to keep their artists in the dark and kind of want to have that control because they're scared of. I mean, they sacrifice so much, so they're kind of scared of losing them. But at the same time, I think that there has to be a mutual understanding, and a lot of things happen because there is no communication between the two. There's a lot of assumptions, and I think if more artists and management will communicate early and continue to follow up on the expectations, and what's going on, um, you wouldn't have some of those issues that you see all over. People leaving management, disgruntled management, these lawsuits. I did this for this artist, and then the artist left and went did this. You know, a lot of these things could be cleared up with proper communication, constant communication, and transparency, and sitting down and working things out, and knowing what the goal is. You
It's
know,
real, man, and we end on that. Like the communication is going to be key in making sure that your artist and manager relationship stays good. And to your point, I think a lot of managers are scared. They put a lot into the situation, and when we were uh, had the experience of managing early in our careers, like we were producing and we were managing and we were. It's a 24-hour job. If something happens, you got to get on the phone. Like you got,
yeah,
if something happens personally, you gotta take that drive. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not
yeah.
get out of bed in the middle of the night, to go put out a fire. Like it is what it is. Like I said, it's a thankless job and it's a lot of sacrifice. And I can understand why a lot of people uh don't want to relinquish that.
But as an artist, as a producer, at the end of the day, you have to be on top of your business. You have to know what's going on, and you cannot leave it entirely up to your management, your attorney, your accountant, a record label,
Yeah.
your assistant, whatever it is. You cannot leave your career totally up to somebody else. It's your career. You have to take invested interest. You have to take the time out to learn the different areas: publishing, royalties, distribution, how things are run. At least a general understanding. You have to do that. Get a book. Spend an hour every day, 30 minutes. Figure out some time and dedicate that to yourself. It's best for your growth, and it's best for your career.
Too often in our community, we're just stuck on the creative side and not focusing on the business. And to your point, again, you have to understand your business. You have to. This is why so many of us are taken advantage of in this industry. This is why so many of us lack ownership. It's because of just not looking for the information, not
Hmm.
knowing what needs to be known, and leaving your livelihood,
To
your
somebody else.
future in the hands of someone else. And that has to stop. We can't complain about what we don't have if we're not looking to try to retain it. If we don't want to learn, if we don't know, then there's nothing to complain about. Just let them essentially rape
Yeah.
and pillage you,
You
and
signed. Yeah. You signed the contract.
right, you signed the
That's your
contract.
that's your fault. You
Yeah,
signed it. You signed it. You decided that this is okay, and you put it. So when you hear the complaints about, oh, they did me dirty or did that, you signed it.
you
You
signed
you
it.
said it was okay for them to do you dirty.
That's it. You consented to it. So
You consented to it.
at the end of the day, we're trying to encourage everybody. Like, listen, even if you have the representation, you still have to check your representation.
Yeah.
Even if you have the management situation, you still have to make sure that there's checks and balances. They're there to help you. They're there to help to protect you at the same time, but you have to protect yourself as well. So
Yeah.
if that's going to be the main takeaway, make sure that you're doing your due diligence and protecting yourself at all times, folks. This is the Architect Beats Music Business Podcast.
Peace. So I gotta say.
At www.architectbeats.com.
Yeah.
We got new things coming on, new books coming. Oh, listen, new books coming. Make sure you guys will make sure you're checking those things out when they come out. Um, If you're not following us already, make sure you're following. And until next time, wait a second, man. You starting to play those beats already, man? Wait a minute. Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on.
Wait. Sorry.
Wait. We about to get into the live. So till next time,
Peace.
peace, everybody.